But hey man, it's cool to meet you. Thanks for joining us on the show.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks for the interview.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Pretty pumped. Of course, Crypt are coming back from the grave again to play Necrosonic Festival this August. Man, how you feeling
That's
about
it.
it? It's gonna be cool.
Us. Yeah, it's gonna be a killer. Yeah, unreal. Unexpected as well, you know. I thought we were finished, man, but here we are.
So, Kent just sort of just gave you a call up, or how did it come about?
But he saw Cliff, who's he's been both drums and bass in the band, but they bumped into each other at some point last year, and Cliff was like, "Oh, Ken wants to do this gig." I was like, "No, nah, man, you know." And then a few months later, he bumped into Ken again, and he was like, "Come on, you got to do it." And I was like, "All right, let's do it." So, I mean, it's just because of the logistical side, because I'm in Melbourne and Grant's in Sydney and Alan's in Northern New South Wales, and then Cliff's in Brisbane. So rehearsals aren't as easy as just driving down the road, but we made it happen. It's been great.
So you're not in Brisbane, you're in Melbourne, you just said, right?
Yeah, I've been down here 20 years. Yeah,
Oh wow, man. Hectic.
yeah. And Grant's been in Sydney at least 10 years, probably more, maybe 15.
So how does that work? If you haven't jammed for a while, do you just find a middle ground, like somewhere in between, or
Oh,
how?
Brisbane, yeah. I've been going to Brisbane every like 3 weeks.
Okay.
Um, and so initially, because Alan's just past the Gold Coast at Kingscliff.
Hmm.
So it's easy. We started out just the three of us for this. We had a few rehearsals, just the music to get kind of blow some cobwebs out, and then Grant came up like maybe three rehearsals in, and it's just gone from there. But like we got one coming up on this Wednesday, but the last one we had, we could have gigged the next day. Like we're pretty much ready.
How long between jams was it? Because I know you were active a couple of years
Yeah,
ago.
8 years maybe.
Wow. Oh yeah. See, I could say a couple, but 2017, 2018, around that, still in
Yeah,
our
yeah.
minds, we're like, oh man, it was like 2 years ago, but it was actually
2017. So what's that? Oh, six. No, what is that? 2017, 7 years ago. 7 years ago was the last week. Insurrection of Darkness Festival down here in Melbourne was the last time we played. Yeah.
and how was that?
It was pretty good. Yeah. I mean, it's great for me to play Nocturnus, even though it wasn't proper Nocturnus, but it was still Nocturnus. So I was happy about that.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that was a ripper. And that was the last time we played. And then, look, it wasn't as daunting as the last tour we did in 2016 because it had been like 15 years.
Yeah.
Um, Probably not so bad for Cliff and I because we've kept playing, and Alan kept playing to an extent. He was in a band called the Hymies, but yeah, I mean, I guess it was, and we rejigged the lineup for that as well because Cliff drummed on El Nino, but he's playing bass now.
Mm.
Um, so yeah, Alan had to learn like El Nino, which he hadn't played before on drums. So this time, I don't know, it just kind of it fell into place pretty easy.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, man, the lineup for this festival is absolutely stacked. What bands are
Yep.
you looking forward to checking out when you're not playing?
Uh, oh, look, it's more probably there'll be I've seen a lot of the bands on there already. Obviously,
Mm.
it'll be more so just to see people I haven't seen in a long time as well. Like and hang with them and then see them play as well. Like we haven't played on the same gig as Misery since oh fuck, I don't know. We Damaged at the Playroom was the last time we played with Misery, which was like I don't even remember when it was. Man, it was like a week before Metal for the Brain, maybe 2007 or something or eight. No, no, no. Sorry, it couldn't have been then. No, 1998. Sorry. Um, yeah. So what's that? 26 years ago or something.
Oh man. So with that though, was that the playroom on the Gold Coast playroom that you're talking?
Yeah, yeah.
Fuck man, I wish I could have played there. Like I was 18, like 2 weeks after they shut it down and opened the new one, which wasn't as good. You know what
Yeah,
I mean?
right.
But man,
Yeah,
just I knew the dude that pulled the place apart, and it was
right. Yeah.
he had the drum riser in his
Wow.
backyard, and it was like history. You know what I mean? Like you boys have been on
Oh, yeah.
there, and all these bands
Yeah,
have
yeah.
been on there, so that's great.
Motorhead played there, like in '89 or something.
It's just nuts.
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't long before it got closed that we played there. Like
Mm.
I reckon it was within a year or something.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe. Oh, yeah. I can't really remember what year it was. Sorry.
That's crazy. That is crazy. But man, there's as we mentioned, this lineup is pretty stacked. You mentioned
Oh, it's mental.
Misery and
Yeah.
man, Psycroptic and
Psycroptic. Yep. Yep.
yeah, man. And one of my favorites, Freedom of Fear. You've heard of
Yep. Yep.
yeah, great
Yeah.
band.
Yeah. 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 I know. I know. I know that. Well, I've worked at their label, like their EVP and stuff. So I know. I'm very familiar with them. Yep.
Yeah, awesome. I didn't know you work for EVP.
Yeah. Well, it's not in existence anymore, but I
Mm.
did when it was in existence. Yeah, it was just part of the company I work at. But yeah, yeah. I mean, it's great. He's put together a hell of a gig, man.
Yeah,
Like,
man.
um, bands from all over. There's nothing like it. Um, not, I don't think there is anyway. And everything about it's killer. The poster looks amazing. Like, I think it's a really good mix of like older bands, newer bands, and like extreme death metal, stonery, doom, like everything.
Yeah. I'm stoked because we're one of the first bands on for the day. So I get to play
Yep.
the set and then I get to enjoy the rest of the day and go on a rampage. So it's
Yeah. Yeah, we won't be getting to Rampage until about midnight.
yeah, see, that's what happens when you're a headliner.
But look, it's going to be awesome. Hey, I can't wait. Like we're super excited. You know, going to play almost every song. Maybe a couple won't get a run just because of time. Because last time we played, we didn't have the 7-inch wasn't out. With those two songs, so we'll be playing those. And we've got a new single coming out, but we won't play that either.
Oh,
But that should be out the day of the gig. We're thinking of putting it out that day.
that's a cool way to launch it.
Yeah. So it's a matter of time now, just getting it all put together. One really cool thing is so the song's called Chilling Madness. And we managed to get Brenton Wright, the guy that did our demo art, because, coincidentally, it's 30 years of our demo
That's right. Yep.
this year. So the same guy that did the art for that has done the art for the new single.
That's cool. Man, it's all
Yeah,
swinging back
so
around. How's that? Because
yeah,
that
it's
was my next question.
what about the demo?
Yeah, well, because 30 years of
I
excruciating
know,
agony, man. Like,
crazy.
you're going to be celebrating that at the festival, I'm sure.
Absolutely, yep. So we are actually playing the demo as the demo. Like, so as years went by and we got better, we sped them up super fast. But we're
Mm.
actually going to play them slow and vulgar, like the demo, like super old school. We tuned down for it, like back because we were tuned to like D flat or something then. So and everything's in E now, but we've been tuning down and it's going to be like the demo, and it sounds fucking awesome. The first time we play it, like rehearsed them at demo tempos or whatever, we're looking at each other like, man, this is unreal. So that's definitely going to be a big part of it for us. And it's also 30 years almost to the week of Alan's first gig in the band at the same venue.
At Mansfield. That's
Yeah,
crazy. What?
I know. So we played there like August, it was like August 5th or something, 1994. And it was his first gig on drums in the band. So that's another bizarre coincidence. Yeah.
Man. So what was that show? Do you remember who was on that lineup when you played like that?
A friend of mine he had it in his diary. It was us. I think it was just like local bands. That was like one of our we didn't have the demo out or anything, it was like one of our very early gigs. So we must have recorded demo a couple of, because it came out in 94. So look, it's a very long time ago. It's hard to remember exact timelines. But yeah, so a couple of cool things there,
Are you
kind of
planning
hard
on
to believe it's
re-releasing it though?
30.
Are you
The
like
demo,
demo? Yeah.
it's on Bandcamp. Like, I think we thought about it, but we're more so focused. We got some killer merch for the gig that's just only available there, and yeah, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We might. I know people are into tapes. We could do some tapes. Like, we'll see. We'll see.
Okay. Well, I mean, I know the tape dudes will would appreciate that. They're crazy for it. How's
Yeah, yeah.
I wish I held on to
I
all my
know.
tapes. But
Yeah, I've still got a couple of copies of it here somewhere, the original, but they're pretty hard to find now. They turn up on Discogs for ridiculous prices, as everything does. You know.
man, it does. It does. It's crazy. And you found the artwork recently. Like in
Yeah, yeah. It turned up in someone's shed.
what?
I got a text. I found this Crypt drawing, and I was like, straight away my heart started racing. I was like, because when we reissued and did that box set, we couldn't find it, so I had to use like a scan of the demo and kind of touch it up. And I sent him a picture, a screenshot. I said, "Is it this?" Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Holy shit.
Don't move. And I just got in my car and went and got it straight away. And I couldn't believe, actually, it's still in amazing condition.
Man, that's wild. Because that usually stuff like that, you pick it up and it just turns to dust and blows away. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
No, I
unreal.
should have. It's just in the next room. I should have grabbed it and held it up, showed it to you.
Oh, that'd be a good little screen grab. But that's cool. But man, I tell you what, that's wild. All these little things that seem to be swinging back around for you right now.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Hey, it's
Yeah.
crazy. It's I guess if you go away for a while and then people get interested again, and you go for it. The main thing for us is that it's still, there's no drop off at
Mm.
all. Like, it still sounds incredible, especially Grant's voice. Like, the guy, we're all getting close to 50 years old, and his voice still sounds exactly the same.
That's unreal, man. Because you don't look like you look like you're about my age or younger. So I don't know.
Well, I'm not. No, I don't know how old you are, but I'm not. I'm
I'm
48, man. So
I'm 43, but you look younger than me. So there you go. You must have like some kind of some kind of voodoo.
zombie.
But I mean, the band started back in like 1990 when death metal was still in its early
Yeah,
days. How
that's
did
it.
the band form then, considering, there was no internet and it wasn't mainstream, is kind of what it was. I'd say mainstream, but it's more acceptable, I guess. It's a bigger
Yeah.
genre. You didn't
Oh,
have
yeah.
those ways of contacting other dudes in the same circles. How did that work?
Yeah. I think especially for us because we were so young. It's like 16 when the band started. It just people you knew, like where I grew up, you'd see other guys in metal shirts and you'd just start talking, and um, yeah, like there was just a crew of us in that part of Brisbane, and just kind of happened, I guess. And Grant, it was the most unlikely thing. I just said to him, "Why don't you try singing?" And like it just turned out he had the most unbelievable voice in the end. It took a while, obviously, like in the early days, it didn't sound like that initially, but yeah. And then so Alan, like he lived like another suburb away, but I just think we all knew each other through high school and stuff, and it just kind of happened. People were jamming with all kinds of people, but then it really kind of solidified with us. We had this permanent rehearsal space and became like a real hangout. It was a pretty mental, weekends there were pretty crazy, but that's all we did was just hung out there and played. And we started out playing whatever we were able to play. We're playing like death songs or Cannibal Corpse songs until you start writing your own ones. Um, and just hanging out. I mean, seeing other bands. There was a lot of bands in Brisbane back then, and heaps of gigs on all the time. Like people would, and it wasn't, metal bands would play with other bands. Like we'd go and see, you go to the Roxy in the Valley, and there'd be Dream Killers and Pangea and Misery, like on the same build, or Damage would come up, or Bloodduster would come up
Mm.
and be like this big deal. So I guess yeah, it just hanging out. You got to know people, and then jam, and then we started rolling. But then once we did the demo, that was it. It was like a band, and it kind of progressed pretty quickly because we just jammed all the time.
And how is it sort of touring then compared to now? I guess, you were right there in that heyday of as you said, there were more bands. It
Yeah.
seemed like it was just incredible to be playing at that time. How was that compared to hitting the road now?
Well, it was. I mean, for us, our first interstate gig, some guy just wrote me a letter from Canberra. This
Well,
guy Roger, he was I can't remember what band he was in, but hey, you want to come down and play? And we're like, yeah. So we went and played the Boardroom in Canberra with a couple of bands. I can't remember who they were. And then you got to know them, and then they'd invite you back. And I think because Rod and the guys that put on Metal for the Brain, if they could see you were touring, then Rod called us and said, "You want to play Metal for the Brain?" And then we got to know Cryogenic and all these other guys, and we go and play Sydney with them. And being on those couple of Triple J comps, obviously, back in the day of 3 Hours of Power, we were on two of those compilations, so that opened up things. We come down and played Melbourne, and but it was all driving. We were all driving. We'd drive to Canberra and play, and then drive back to Brisbane the next day, or same with Sydney. Like we'd drive down and play, and just drive straight back. Um, I don't know. It's just what we did.
man, that sounded like it was awesome. What was the craziest thing that you saw back then? Because I don't know, it seemed like it was a bit more
Like a
Wild West.
gig.
Yeah, what was the a bit more of a Wild West back then than
Uh, Probably, I reckon both of them would have been involving Sadistic Execution. Seeing them play with Morbid Angel on Blessed of the Stick tour was insanity. And then we played a festival in Sydney for one of those Triple J comps in maybe 98
Hmm.
or 99. And I remember walking out of the venue, and those it was like the old style McDonald's like bins as you go through the drive through
yeah.
where you push the flap. There was one of those, and it just opened, and Dave Slave was in the bin and just went like this and then closed it again. And I reckon that was one of the craziest things I ever saw. It's like, what the fuck? Didn't even say anything, just opened the flap and looked around and closed it again. It's like, oh man.
Uh, so I mean,
I don't know.
obviously you did some probably pretty wild supports back then too.
Yeah.
Who was the one that sort of impacted you the most? Or maybe a band that you met that sort of impacted you the most?
I guess, it changes with those early tours that came over here, like obviously Morbid Angel, for anyone that was around back then, seeing that tour in 92 was just, there was nothing else like it. So that was incredible. But for me, probably the earlier back than that in Brisbane, like they used to have gigs at Sherwood no, what was it? It was like an AFL club or something,
Hmm.
whatever they called it back then. And you like Armored Angels, seeing them, I would have been like 15 at best. And there was a band from the Gold Coast called Blitzkrieg that was probably the first death metal I ever heard in my life. Um, that was crazy. Iron Lightning was like an old Brisbane like kind of power thrash thing. Like that was the stuff that really blew my. Abhorrent was another band from Brisbane. Like just being so young and seeing that this stuff was happening in your own city was the best.
Man, and of course, I mean, after El Nino, you guys called it a day, right?
Yeah.
Just how long after that?
How long after that was what? Sorry.
When you guys put the band on?
It was probably I think 2000, maybe early 2001 or the end of 2000 was the last gig.
Mm,
It was at the place. What was it called? The Railway or something in the Gabba
yeah.
there. And it was like I think it's the last gig, and then it just kind of was the last gig. and I moved away not long after, and that was it. Yeah, it just look. I'm glad we did
Yeah.
because it just kept it as what it was. There was probably another record ready to happen. Even same with the last tour, we were nearly going to do a record then, but it's just we ended up only doing the two songs. Um, we'll see what happens now. You know, like we definitely got this one song coming,
Yeah.
and we'll see.
Do you feel like you got another record in you?
Oh yeah, oh, always good music. Yeah,
Yeah. Don't want to
yeah.
put you on the hot seat, but I'm putting you on the yeah.
Oh, I could easily do another one. I mean, like I say, I've got other music projects that I've got putting records out all the time.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like it just depends if everyone's in. You know what I mean? Like I nearly this song that's coming out nearly came out under a different name. I did a version of it with Mike Smith from Suffocation on drums.
Oh wow.
Um, and that project, but then COVID, you know, that was the end of it. But there is a
Yeah.
demo version of this song in existence with him on drums.
Okay. That's cool, man. So well, you said you're going to be launching that, but what other projects have you got on the go outside of Crypt?
I've got a solo improv guitar thing called WPH. It's
Yeah.
like a pseudonym. Cliff plays in Cryptivore. He plays drums with them. He does electronic music. So we're pretty busy, and I play just like guitar for other people down here and stuff. You know, yeah, it's just time for us all, I guess. To and gigs have changed, especially in Melbourne. Things have changed a lot down here post
Mm.
pandemic. Gigs sure ain't what they used to be down here. We used to be able to. I would play 3-4 gigs a weekend. Um, you know, in different bands at one point, but just not there at the moment. So probably more focused on recording at the moment. Um, yeah, it's enough to keep you busy. Always coming, yeah. I'd like to write another metal, at least an EP, but I'd really want to take it out somewhere else. I wouldn't want to do old school death metal. I'd want to do something new, like
Okay.
death metal, but you know, something crazy.
Something modern, more modern metal.
Yeah, but it would be abstract, and it would still be full on. Like I can't get away from
Yeah, yeah,
crazy riffs. You know, it's got to be that. But yeah, I'd want to take it somewhere I've never been with it before.
yeah. Cool, man. What is your thoughts on where the modern death metal scene is right now? You know, you've got some dudes that are doing the traditional death metal thing, but it's
Mm.
definitely gone out into all these little mini subgenres now. Like where do you
Mm.
think it is now and where it's headed?
Oh, I wouldn't know where it's headed. I mean, it's. I think it's just symptomatic of music in general across the board. There's people that are doing stuff that's in homage to things that have already happened, and that's very common in metal.
Mm,
Um, I actually heard a guy saying a very interesting thing about metal. We were at a gig at the Tote a few years ago, and he said it's the new rockabilly, I think it could be a danger of going where blues and jazz and these other things have gone, where there's no more innovation.
mm.
So jazz, I think, has got innovation. I don't think blues really does. And classical's another music that's in danger because how do you capture a new audience
Yeah.
when, especially classical, all your album covers are like old men? So but it's just a reality. It's an aesthetic, and everything today is very much around aesthetics with Instagram and whatever.
Mm.
So metal, I guess, a lot of metal as well falls into the guitar trap, and then we get into you know clip like screen grabs of people going,
Yeah,
like to
yeah.
catch someone's attention. But it's like, what is that? Like, what is that? Is that music, or is it just its attention span? There's so much more to it than just music now.
Mm.
Would an album like something with epic long songs, would people give a fuck? I don't know.
That's the hardest
It's
thing, man. It's
yeah,
the attention span thing. Like there's debate even within my own band, about album compared to EP. Like it,
yeah. I think the album's potentially dead.
it's
I think that yeah, I think the album is kind of dead. I think an 8 or 9 song album is fuck. Do you really want to do that? Like, or do you break it down into 2 EPs?
yeah. That's why I think
Um,
I agree with that because it's you could have some of the best fucking songs on there that you can just look at that as a whole piece and go, man, I'm so proud of this. But then the streaming lords are gonna fucking rip it apart, and they're not gonna hear
mhm,
it unless you've got it, I guess, on vinyl, um, where people have to sort of listen
mm.
to it long form. It's just gonna get ripped apart on streaming. So it's
Yeah,
just
yeah.
sad.
It's a funny one. It's a funny one, isn't it? It's like I don't know. Yeah, and you hear a lot of bands say it. I think the album's dead. Do we just put out? You could just put out batches of 2 or 3 songs.
Hmm.
And it's like that's even with what we're going to do now. I said let's just put out one song. Like there's more, but let's just put
Yeah.
out one killer, and we'll just see what happens from there. Like it's yeah. I mean, metal's as alive as any music. I think it's just
Absolutely.
all up to using your imagination and one good thing about extreme music, say metal or extreme electronic music or whatever, is there are not so many boundaries. You can take it into some pretty crazy places. Um, yeah, and it's a very wide scope as well
Mm.
for extreme music, and it depends what you consider extreme music as well. Is throbbing gristle? I consider that to be extreme music, or
Yeah, yeah,
something
yeah,
like
yeah.
that, or even some Jeff Mills like electronic stuff. That's extreme music. It's pummeling. It's Godflesh or anything like that. It's a wide umbrella.
It's true. But man, in saying that, there are bands out there that are still releasing really fucking great albums, man. You know what I mean? I will
Absolutely,
say
yeah.
that. You know, that's not to take away from what they're doing. That wasn't my point. But
Oh no, I agree. Totally,
yeah, yeah.
totally. Yeah.
Like there's some kick-ass albums, but it just makes it harder with the disposable world we live in at the moment. Hopefully, you never know, man. Everything swings back around somewhere. I'm hearing people asking for
Mm.
CDs now. You know what I mean? Which is
Yeah.
wild, man.
Well, it is and it isn't. I think CDs are at the point that vinyl was at maybe 20 years ago,
Yep.
where there was a whole era of music that didn't come out on CD. So
Yep.
people were digging these old records because, like, what's this? What's this? I've never seen any of this. And now we're at a point where everything's on vinyl and nothing's on CD.
Yep.
So you can go back to a whole era, say the 90s, where everything was on CD, but none of it exists now.
Yeah.
And it's like for people that want to dig into music, CDs is an untapped region now from about 1990 through to maybe 2010. There's 20 years of music that you can discover that you might not see anywhere.
Mm, you're right. Maybe I need to start releasing stuff on CD. We've been asked about 5 times in the last few days. You
Well,
know,
metal has never really crossed over to vinyl the way everything else
uh,
has. Not from what I've seen anyway in music distribution is CD's still king in metal.
that's crazy, huh? Especially in Japan.
Mm.
In Japan, they love their CDs.
Yeah, yeah, they didn't even really go to streaming either, which is kind of funny.
Yeah, it's wild, man. It's wild. Yeah, it's got me. It's food for thought. I'm thinking about it. That's for sure.
Well, hey, why not?
Yeah,
Why
why
not?
not? Yeah, yeah, just gotta get that money. But dude, you gotta make the money to put the money into
Yeah.
the art. But I've got 50 cents around here somewhere. But dude, what else you got coming up after you've got Necrosonic and the single and
Yep. And look, we're just going to see what happens there. I've got other stuff I've got to work on. Another solo record that'll the second half of the year. I said to the guys, maybe, excuse me, maybe we could look at doing something, but it wouldn't be till next year till we'd start on it. Yeah, I kind of wouldn't mind getting a 7 string if we're going to do it and kind of explore something subterranean.
yeah.
Um, it would be a product of the things I like. and just see where you could take it. I think, and if you're working on only doing it for yourself, well, who fucking cares? You can make whatever record you want. That's one luxury of today.
Hmm.
You can do whatever you want and release it yourself. And as long as you are happy, it doesn't matter.
That's right. That's right. And it's out there forever. All for
Yep.
you.
If you're happy with it,
Yep.
well then to hell with the world. If people don't care or don't like it or say it's shit, who cares?
That's right. Hey man, that's it. That's it. But dude, it's been really cool hanging out. Thanks for, hanging on the show.
All right. Thank you once again. And thanks to Kent for putting on the festival and all the bands for playing. Like it's going to be a hell of a fucking night.